I was talking about the work that Ian had done with this. He said he's got most of the code running locally, but before I start pushing that, I want to get sign off on the repository separation between NAB and NAB detectors. All right, so I want to see the difference between NAB and NAB detectors. I've done a very rough draft of the readmes for each to give you an idea of what will be required to users to run NAB after the separation. So these are the two. This is one of the readmes, and this one I keep. So let's just pay attention to what is being put in each place. Okay, so this is the first one, and this is detectors. So we're going to have a new repository called NAB detectors, and we're going to remove the detectors from NAB. And I want to make sure that in NAB detectors here, it does not contain any scoring or optimization or any of that code that was originally in NAB. So here's NAB. This is I think the NAB code base, and here's where the detectors go. So all this stuff, corpus, labeler, optimizer, plot, runner, score, sweeper, I think all this stuff is going to get converted to Python 3, and the detectors part is going to be, all of this stuff is not. Like this is where the source code for the different detectors are going to be. Looks like, so this one's in Java, for example. So here's an example of, you can't just run this. This detector needs to have the proper Java environment. So there's instructions on how to run it. So these detectors, I wonder if we're going to have to test them. Because it used to be like that you could run the detector, and the run program would HTML Java detect. So there's some type of script in here that, not the batch file. Java detector.py. Okay, so there's a Python file that like kicks it off. It kicks off a Java runtime, right? Yeah, so we're doing it this way. Open. Yeah, so here's where we're kicking off the Java runtime. So we're going to convert. So here's maybe what I don't quite understand. Am I going to, hold on, it's a spammer calling from St. Charles, Missouri. Hey Ian, you don't happen to be out there, do you? Ian's the one that's done this work for us, but he may watch this later. So one of my questions, let me go back to the notes I was taking here. I'm going to ignore what I don't care that much about the README. Let's just talk about the content. So for the detectors, are we, obviously we're going to, the detectors Python code, some of it's going to be Python 2. So this is the thing, like the NewPick detector, Numenta. We're going to have to change this detector. There's two different detectors here. If we update this code base, the detector code base, I don't think is going to be updated to Python 3, or is it? That's what I understand. If it is, then we'd have to have like the Python 3 script runner call into NewPick like in Python 2 and run NewPick in Python 2. Is that what we're planning on doing? So let me write that down. Our detector is, so there's this detector script, the run script. Is it going to be in Python 3 too, or 3 as well? And if so, how to run NewPick in Py 2 from Python 3. So that's my main question right now, is because all of these detectors have a essentially something underscore detector Python script, whether it's a Python program or not. And that is what is going to invoke the detector when you run it through the NAB framework. So I assume that all of this is going to be updated to Python 3. All of the runners need to be updated to Python 3. And for example, the NewPick example is going to have these detectors rewritten in Python 3 in a way that calls the NewPick in Python 2. I think that's what's got to happen. Okay, I was just working that out in my head. Numenta detector, detectors. I guess going back and forth now. Okay. So this is a companion repository to NAB. If you're unfamiliar with NAB, please refer to the main repository. In the 2019, the main body of the benchmark scope was ported to Python 3. The detector code was outside the scope of that project, but is kept here for posterity. So this says basically all this is going to stay Python 2. I'm not certain that's what we actually want. Okay. So I'll bring this up. So this is all going to be Python 2. I mean, we don't want to update all of the code, but we do want to be able to run all these detectors from the main NAB. Okay, so I think I got a good sense of this. So I have some questions I'm going to talk to Ian about, and like I said, he has agreed for me to do this sort of publicly. So let me respond to him about this. Okay, so collecting thoughts. If all the detectors other than the Numenta are easy to port to, does that change the plan at all? So yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. What the heck? I think we should consider how much work it would be to run NewPick in a Python, or create there should be a way to run a Python to run a program in Python 2 from within a Python 3 script, just like we're running HTML Java. If this were easy to do, is there a reason to separate the repos? Okay, so that's the main question. If I bet all the other detectors are easy, and if it's just Numenta, could do this with any of the existing Python 2 detectors. All right, I'm gonna leave it at this. Too many lawyers working for the media gatekeepers. Still pissed on what was done to it, Yeah, the music industry has changed a lot since the internet. So that's what I'm going to ask. If there's an easy way to do this, is there a reason to separate the repositories? So assuming that the detectors repo really only has the detectors, it should be NAB detectors, right? So that will only contain this. I just want to confirm that with. Okay, so what I'd like to do is, it would be great if we could keep this all in one repository. If we could keep it in one repository, run it all in Python 3, and then for the detectors that were written in Python 2, just like we do with Java or any of the other environments, we just have Python 3, popen a process, and run a Python 2 command. How that is set up, I mean, you can't guarantee, we'll have to make sure that there's a Python 2 environment, but that's going to be true with every one of these detectors if they're not written in Python 3. So why don't we just treat this exactly the same? Just treat Python 2 the same as Java. Let's see how this is. Let's see how that goes.